Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uproot Reddit. Man, the thrill of going to a show, be it a concert, a theatrical performance, whatever it may be, everyone is eager to watch their favorite performers/artists take to the stage and light up the arena. Or if you're ever taking a trip to Vegas, you know you are surrounded by endless hours of entertainment. The best part? There are some shows that are practically free to watch. But the worst part? You have to deal with a large crowd that always wants to flock to the front part of the stage so they can see all of the cinematic artistry come to life. And dealing with crowds, pushing and shoving you, can be super frustrating and stressful and awkward. Take it from Reddit user Lucky Farms Living. They were trying to enjoy themselves after going through physical therapy, and that one person, just had to ruin it in the worst way possible. In today's post, entitled Mom pushes me in my wheelchair away from my family. A few years ago, I was living in Vegas, and an entitled mom literally wheeled me away from my family. I have a number of health issues, and after a few botched surgeries and neurological damage, I was bedridden. I never left my house or bed except for doctor's appointments. I hadn't been out at all for 2.5 years. I had worked really hard on my daily physical therapy, and my balance had greatly improved. My family came out for a visit. My husband was stationed at Nellis AFB, and I was so excited to surprise them with my improvements. I could stand and walk and was actually wearing pants. To celebrate, I wanted to go see the fountains at the Bellagio. For most people, this is a nice outing, but for me, this was years in the making. I was nervous I might get overtired and lost in the fast-moving crowds, so we had to bring my wheelchair. We knew the schedule for the fountains and arrived super early to secure a spot in front where I could see from my chair. It was such an important moment for all of us. We lined up by the fence, and no sooner did the show start, I felt this jerking on my wheelchair. I thought maybe someone had tripped on me, and I immediately looked up to apologize. I was pretty self-conscious and ashamed of being out in a wheelchair in such a big crowd. When I glanced up to apologize, I see this woman with a small child on her hip using one hand to literally pull me away from the fence. Because she was only using one hand, she spun me completely around to face the street. I was stunned. I could hear everyone reacting to the fountain show, and here I was, looking dumb, awkwardly facing a bunch of strangers. I yelled for my husband, but he couldn't hear me over the noise. I looked behind me, and this woman had plopped her child up onto the guardrail. Never made eye contact with me, never said one word to me, and had treated me like a piece of luggage. I tried to stand up, but the people around me had crowded me so much, I didn't have room to push my chair back enough. I desperately looked around at the strangers in front of me, hoping someone who had seen what happened would help. It then dawned on me that this was a huge family/friend group. They all began nudging me aside, further and further away from my family. It all happened so fast. I found myself pushed into the walking area where people who weren't stopping to watch the fountain show were quickly trying to walk past. People couldn't see me through the crowd and were stumbling over and past me. I couldn't see my family anymore and was trying hard to push myself up out of my chair the way my physical therapist had taught me. I feel someone grabbing my chair again, and I panicked. I start yelling, "No, please, no!" and then realized it was my husband. He had glanced to check on me and to take a picture of me being out for the first time, and I was gone. He had to fight his way through the crowd, the same family group, to find me. I burst into tears. I don't know why, but it was like all the trauma from the last few years hit me all at once. I told him they had pushed me away, and after putting it together, My husband was ticked. He turned to this group of people and demanded to know who had pushed me away. By this time, the fountain show was pretty much over. The group initially just ignored my husband like they had me until I pointed out the woman with her child as the culprits. My family confronted her, nicely I might add, and tried to explain why a wheelchair is an extension of a person, etc. She at first pretended like she didn't speak English. But I had heard them talking amongst themselves in English while they pushed me into the walking area, and I told my husband as much. She then gave up that act and told my family about how I was in their way and probably couldn't see anyway, and the man with her claimed in a raised voice that in their country, they don't take their shameful family members out in public. Yeah, he definitely said that, people. To which my husband responded, if that were true, none of you would be here. I was maybe even more shocked by his last sentence than being wheeled away. I managed the courage to tell him that what he said was bull, and that I'm sure people in your country are actually kind and would be proud if I was their daughter. I remember the exact words I said because later I was very proud that I stood up to them. The group sort of collectively scoffed, spoke to one another quickly in what I think was Hindi, and slowly walked away as if nothing happened. We didn't stay for the next show because I just wanted to go home. I don't know which is worse, pushing a disabled person in a wheelchair out of your way or wrongly painting your countrymen as prejudice. I would say the latter. And here's an edit from Lucky Farms Living, quote, "Thank you all so much for your supportive and empathetic comments as well as awards. I truly appreciate it." Okay, talk about beyond rude and obnoxious. If you wanted to be in the front so bad, you didn't have to push Lucky Farms Living out of the way, when clearly they were in a wheelchair. Plus, encroaching on someone just because they're in a wheelchair or have crutches will not fly with this family. Furthermore, since you are a mom and have a child, you are not being a good role model for them. I'm telling you, these entitled parents really feel like the whole world has to bend to their will. And what they do, their kids will follow suit. Reddit user Seda Malipop was visiting the Auschwitz Museum, which is a somber place, might I add, and witnessed something they have never seen happen at a museum. In today's post, entitled parents make a scene because their son isn't allowed to draw on the walls and eat Cheetos while touring Auschwitz. Get kicked out. It's one thing to be rude to others during a tour, but to practically encourage vandalism at a historical site? To all the historians out there, get ready to cringe at how all of this unnecessary mayhem happened. Quote, "I was simply an observer here. It was a few years ago when I went to Poland. Apologies if I spelled the names wrong. So I paid some money just like others to tour Auschwitz and have a guide. At the start, said guide told the entitled family to leave their open food in their bags or put it in the trash. They listened with some obvious annoyance, saying something along the lines of, 'But we want to enjoy this trip. Why can't we eat?' After a bit, the son once again pulled out his food and started loudly munching while the guide was showing us and telling us the awful things that happened there. Once again, the guide had to tell the son to not eat during this, for obvious reasons to everyone except for that family. When we went into one room where the poor prisoners were kept, I saw the son pull out a Sharpie, yes, a Sharpie of all things, and start writing what I'm guessing is his name again and again on the walls. Once again, now obviously quite angry, the guy demands that he stops immediately or else there will be severe consequences. The entitled parents step in, shouting things about them paying to be there and being allowed to have fun. Who in the world goes to Auschwitz for fun, quote unquote? And that the guide was being rude and disrespectful. Says the people who were being rude and disrespectful. The best thing, they were kicked out. Or at least that's what it looked like. because after that, they mysteriously weren't there for the rest of the tour. Very interesting tour. I would recommend it. 10 out of 10 guide. And here's an edit from Seda Malipop. Quote, "Sorry for misspelling guide. I'm not native and the letters look similar. Also, since a lot of people are asking, accent-wise, they seemed American. Thanks for the awards. I don't really understand them, but they seem nice." You know, when traveling to another country and visiting historical sites, do your research beforehand on how to conduct yourself, because if you can't keep your child from causing confusion and chaos for the entire tour, then don't expect preferential treatment from the tour guide. Seriously, entitled parents expect to go to another country and treat everyone like junk while expecting to be treated like royalty. But anyways, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back for more obnoxious parent stories right here on Uproot Reddit. Remember to be respectful no matter what country or museum you visit, and we'll see you all next time.